Welcome everyone to the female bodybuilding channel. JB, are you feeling good?
I'm feeling very well. Thank you very much. And you?
Great. Today we have one of the top stars of women's physique. Rachel Daniels is in the building. How are you feeling today?
I'm good. I'm great. Happy to be here. Thank you so much for that awesome introduction and for having me.
Quick question. Where did you get your nickname, the real Lois Lane? Where's that from? Well, we know where it's from, but how did you get it?
I kind of used it as like a little alter ego when I first started lifting. If you read some of the write-offs of the actual Superman comics and Supergirl comics, Lois Lane actually turns into Supergirl in some of the comics. So I know a lot of people think of her as Superman's girlfriend, but she was a lot more than that. And I, before I was had all the qualities that I think I have now, and when I was feeling kind of less strong and less confident, I would always get in the car on the way to the gym, and my dad used to always say, "Fake it till you make it." So I would kind of be like, "What would like Superwoman do, or Supergirl, or Lois Lane?" And every day when I left work, I would like take my Rachel hat off and put my Lois Lane hat on, and I was like, I'm just gonna act like I have confidence, and I'm gonna be strong and independent until hopefully one day I am. So that's kind of an alter ego nickname that I use. And then when I made an Instagram, I just made that the name, and it kind of caught on from there.
So how do you feel then being like, we're going to go into a lot of things, but you're one of the few women's physique girls that young girls are really relating to, like in more like a mass appeal. And how does it feel now that you're known for being this confident and to be like a role model for these type of things when you weren't always like that in the beginning?
I mean, it's an amazing position to be in. It still kind of surprises me sometimes when I have, people tell me how much they look up to me, or that, things I say really affects them, or I help them in this way or the other. I didn't really start bodybuilding with the idea of helping people. I didn't have the idea of hurting people either. But the more I do this, and the more I find my voice and move in this industry, the more I find that I do really enjoy helping others and affecting them, and hopefully just leading by example that, you can be a human, and you can have imperfections, and still do incredible things. And just because you're not perfect, or weren't born with the perfect genetics or the perfect financial status or this and that, you can still do incredible things. I think that's a big issue I see with a lot of the pros in the industry nowadays. Everyone's only posting their best moments and kind of leading this perception of themselves that they're just perfect people who've never had any problems. And that's really disheartening to a lot of normal people trying to do incredible things. So I am the real Lois Lane, so I try to keep it real and show both sides of that, and hopefully people can relate and apply that to themselves, and it'll give them some confidence. And if I'm doing a little bit of that, then I think I'm doing my job.
2020, JB and myself, we were watching women's physique, and out of the blue, here comes Rachel Daniels. We saw you on Instagram, obviously first with the cool, like what do you call, like different type of pictures. You stand out with your hair, your makeup, your physique, obviously, and we saw you. Excellent 2020, first year, pro show win. You went to the Olympia, crazy routine, then you disappeared.
Yeah.
Well, why did you take the year off?
It was 2020 was a huge year for me. Obviously, like you said, I did a national qualifier show. I got my pro card 3 weeks after that. I won New York Pro, my first pro show, 6 days after that, and then I was at the Olympia 4 months later. So I had a whirlwind of a career within like this short, between the end of August and early December. So I have never really had an off season before that. So that took a lot out of me, 4 shows, and not just 4, amateur shows. This is Olympia, it's New York Pros. I was just hoping to get my pro card that year. I didn't expect all that to go down, and I think the year off was needed, not just hormonally, but mentally as well. I was burnt out. I had a lot I needed to process. I went from like nobody knows who the fuck I am to like getting top 7 at the Olympia. So I was kind of overwhelmed as well. So I just took that year to kind of take a step back. I needed to make improvements on my physique as well that I don't think I would have made if I just kept kind of running myself in the ground. And everything I do is a mutual decision with my coach, Shelby Starnes, and he called it and I called it, and we just went to work on a solid off season. And I like to kind of go fade into the background and then come back when people are least expecting me and remind them who I am.
Was it because you were all in 2020? You were prepping for 4. Was that throughout the year? Was there no breaks?
Well, they were all kind of put together. So I did. My national qualifier was at Tampa Pro when I was an amateur. That was, I think, the first weekend of August. Yep. And then I did Junior USA's August 28th. So like 3 weeks later, I got my pro card. And then New York Pro was the weekend after my pro card. So those 6 days. And then I had the really hard trek was from New York Pro until the Olympia. Because New York Pro, I think, was September 5th, October, November, December. So it was like I had to pull it for like 3 or 4 or 3.5 more months after that. So that was tough because you're really in a spot where you can't really get too fat and kind of have an off season and can't really normalize, but it's also kind of a long enough time to where you can't really stay too lean. It's kind of hard to stay at that really lean spot either. So I think 3 months is a tricky amount of time to do between shows. And some girls can do it. Some girls can do shows every weekend and they look the same. I look great if I can hit a couple shows back to back, snapping like within a month period. But the more I do this, the more strategic I try to be about what the goal is. Now that I'm a pro, I'm not super interested in just winning a ton of pro shows. I know some people are, and that's nothing wrong with that. But my goal
Who are we talking about? By the way, before one thing, the only disappointing thing with 2021, well, there was a lot of disappointing things, but what we wanted to see, we were hyping up the Rachel Daniels versus Alicia Kiesling. We wanted to see the New York Pro battle that didn't go down, by the way. But enough about that. It didn't go down.
It didn't go down, but I mean, if she wants to get on stage with me, she can get on stage with me.
There you go. Natalia Coelho, great champion, great representative, all this. What are you thinking of? She's done 5 shows since the Olympia. What do you think about? Is this something you think is smart for the body? Can you improve doing 5 shows?
I can only speak for myself. I personally would not do that. That doesn't seem like a smart choice for Rachel. But like I said, it depends on what are your goals. Are your goals to be known for winning the most amount of pro shows and be notorious for that? Like I said, there's nothing wrong with that if that's your goal. Some people have the goal just to make it to the Olympia one time and say they did it, and that's their goal. And some people want to win the Olympia. I don't think I would improve much if I was constantly competing all year. I like to look at the leaders like Sarah, Andrea Shaw, people like this. What is Mr. and Mrs. Olympia? What are they doing every year? Are they coming out to do a bunch of shows? No, they're not. They're elongating their off seasons, fixing their weaknesses. And the way I look at it is this isn't a checkers game. It's a chess game. And especially as a female, if you're trying to elongate your career and be your best at that one show. And if the goal ultimately is to be the best at the Olympia, what does your show schedule look like for that goal? So for me, I would not do that. I think I'd like to get my qualification, sit down. And I'm not saying anyone else thinks they have anything to prove, but personally, I don't think I have anything to prove just by getting up there and doing a show just to do a show. People already know what I'm capable of, and I know what I'm capable of.
Yeah, longevity. JB, you've been watching, JB, he's been a women's bodybuilding, mostly a reporter for like 30 years now, JB. You see a lot of girls with a lot of longevity, JB. Don't you think this is smart, taking some time off to improve?
I personally think yes. I think that this coming often to shows is like when introduced with the Miss Olympia qualification with the points. So we have to do shows to get the qualification with the point standings. Is of course, yeah, I think it's for a good reason that you have a long time between the Olympias, so 1 year, and you can do it. You can, yeah, and you have also time to do guest appearances or something else. But if you concentrate on your goal is Olympia, so I do concentrate on Olympia and do the qualification, and that's it. It's good, I think.
And also with we don't gonna go too much into detail, but especially for women being on other supplements, we don't know women have a lot more side effects when they use those type of supplements for guys at home. So it's important to go off as long as possible there. But 2021, 2022, and JB, you know, JB over there, I always like Rachel Daniels. She's great. She's great. And he always said, yes, but she's too popular. She's too popular. he's like, if you're too popular, he's like, well, she's too popular. But then he called me after watching St. Louis, and he said, AJ, I think I take back everything I said. This is the next Women's Physique Olympia. And then I checked we saw some videos, and I talked to Shelby a lot, and I said, what happened, bro? He said, up 10 pounds a month. What is it? How much were you up at St. Louis in stage muscle?
I was 7 pounds heavier than my first Olympia.
But the conditioning on this was some crazy conditioning now, Rachel.
Well, you know, Shelby, and I don't have a hard time getting peeled, but it was actually fun because I've been conditioned in the past at my past shows, but I've also been, my biggest problem has been holding that fullness and that more mature muscle and the conditioning. So, you know, it's hard to get conditioned on your own. Some people are either conditioned or they're full, but nailing both of them is really like that sweet spot that everyone's looking for. So we were actually planning on doing Pittsburgh as well. I wanted to do the Arnold, but let's not get into that. So we said a
little bit later.
Yeah. So I was like, what's next? Let's do Pittsburgh. That's coming up. And then I started prepping, and I was ready pretty early. So Shelby, he always does stuff. He did it with New York Pro, and he did it with St. Louis. He called me. He's like, what do you think about just getting on stage like a month or so early? And I was like, are you sure? Do you think we can pull it off? And he's like,
we're a month earlier than you planned.
Yeah. So we didn't really like speed things up too much. We kind of just like peaked it where we're at. So the fact that we brought that nice of conditioning, that was about like our 80%. So we can take it further, and we're planning to with the guidelines of physique. But that was also the first time we really had, I think, one of our best looks on stage. I'd like to be maybe like 3 or 4 pounds tighter on the glutes and hamstring area than I was at St. Louis. But like I said, that was we really nailed it for coming a month early, 80%, especially with the fullness, the amount of food I was able to eat coming in the show. I think we really delivered on the short notice we had for that win.
Fear not, Rachel, because I've already called the Pro League, and this is our conversation. The Pro League, since the women bodybuilders are getting smaller, we want the physique girls to get bigger and bigger and more shredded and shredded. And as you've seen, now we don't follow the rule book at all anymore. It's all in. You see Melissa Tech bringing tremendous size and crazy shredded. And now Sarah Viegas, she can go all in. And now you can too. So we have new rules. Do you enjoy that?
I do enjoy that. And I think, obviously we care about the judges and their feedback, and we take that into account. But at the same time, you have to look at, and this goes for any category, you have to look at who's winning, right? So I'm going to go off who's winning. You know, if you're rewarding somebody like Melissa and Sarah, these girls are peeled out of their mind. And that was the winner. I think there's a line, right? And we don't want to go too far into women's bodybuilding, but even Sarah, she gets very peeled, and then she fills out really nicely as well. She actually probably goes to a level of women's bodybuilding conditioning and fills out to the point where this is what we want for women's physique. But yeah, I do see them rewarding that. And then the girls who are structurally a little bigger and a little too too big are being rewarded in women's bodybuilding. And I feel like I came in at New York Pro, though that was like a great time for me to become a pro and compete, because I did beat a lot of girls who were a lot bigger than me and fuller than me, and just in every aspect. I was most definitely the smallest girl on stage, but I was the most conditioned, and I had the best symmetry. And I think we can't really discuss women's physique without discussing symmetry. You really don't. I probably still am one of the smallest girls on the Olympia stage, but my symmetry and my conditioning makes me a formidable threat.
No, just quick about St. Louis. You beat the great Danny Castillo, who's now switched to your coach, by the way, Shelby. And who was in third?
Honestly, I don't remember.
It was three. It was a great top three there. I remember. JB, can you remember Danny Castillo? And there was another very good girl there, because it was the best women's physique show at the. It was pretty early though, but it was a very good.
It wasn't the blonde girl, was it?
I can't remember.
No.
But
You
should.
They were all really lovely women, but I don't remember. I wasn't looking
like
to the
Arnold
right of me.
Schwarzenegger would say, I don't remember. But
I wasn't looking to my side. I was looking at Tyler.
Yeah. No, but it's very good. I don't know how long you watched Women's Physique, but Women's Physique have a very short time period. We've seen so many girls just come and go. 1 year they're epic, 1 year they're in third call out, you know? So it was so good to see you come back after a year and show the improvement, not only conditioning, but the size, the symmetry, the presentation, the tan, the suit, the hair, the makeup. It was fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it was great to be back. It was a very special moment. You know, the audience really received me. They gave me a standing ovation after my posing routine, and it was just a symbolic show for me, because I really, taking that year off after having those 4 shows where you're just stage, people, everything's like moving so fast, and to go from that sort of momentum to having to do that to yourself and say, like, let's slow down. I really developed a level of patience and discipline that I did not have in 2020. I tripled my business. My posing went to a whole nother level. My training went to a whole nother level, but there was a lot of, I had to sit back and watch a lot of shows happen and kind of humble myself. And even though I was like, shit, I should be up there. Like, but I waited almost 500 days and counted every single one of them. And I didn't waste my time. I'll say that. It didn't waste my time. I put every day to use, and I got back on stage 10 times better than I ever expected. And you know, you do kind of always have that feeling like, did I get lucky that first year? Like, was that like just a lucky mistake or something? Do I deserve to really, how will I stand up now after having a year off? And so the fact that I came back and just solidified that to myself and to the whole league, that yeah, I'm here, and I did it once and twice, and I can do it 3 times, and I'll do it again. That was a great feeling.
JB, one question to you over there. For the men's side, we have the greatest posters of all time: Melvin Anthony, King Kamali, and Vince Taylor. Those are my top 3. Who do we have for the girls? Mona Percier is fantastic. Where do you have Rachel Daniels in this list, JB? Let me hear you. If you consider women's physique, women's bodybuilding, put it in the same thing. Where do you have Rachel Daniels?
Well, I would have you, Rachel, in the top 3. Yeah, top 3 of women's bodybuilding and women's physique, definitely.
Current or all time?
Current. Because yeah, we have for example, we have in all times we have Laura Crevel from Miss Olympia in the 90s, for example, very aesthetic. Or for example, Jordan Deleuze also, or yeah, was all a great time to have. I think 4 or 5 times.
Okay, what about women's physique then?
Okay. For my remembering, yeah, Rachel on the top 2.
Yeah. So,
Definitely.
Rachel, I don't know if your nickname should be Lois Lane. I think it's more should be the artist, you know, like Prince. Because, Rachel, you are the only active pro, maybe with Terrence, that is moving the crowd in also on YouTube, off the stage, consistent with the guest posting, masks, different music, but you feel the posing. How did you fall in love with posing?
Oh, I was a performer all my life. My family has always been like a theatrical family. They put me in the arts from the time I was very young. I was a gymnast, and from there I moved on to, dance, theater. I had musical theater scholarships in college. So I was always performing in one way or the other. When I got into bodybuilding, I had kind of put my dance and stuff aside. I was like going through those late teenage years where you just want to kind of have fun and party, and I lost my touch with that. And then bodybuilding really brought me back to that, because when I first started bodybuilding, I heard all this stuff about posing and I didn't really understand what it was. I watched a lot of videos of started stumbling across people like Lila Brada and the great posers, and I was like, oh, okay. But I really did watch a lot of the greats at posers, like the old school bodybuilders, when the routines were like 5 minutes and people were doing like pairs posing in the 80s, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, these guys are serious. And I naively assumed that this is what I need to be on stage. Like, I can't get on stage unless I can do something like this. So I started posing, and I couldn't really flow. Like, it didn't really feel natural. I think a lot of people think that I automatically was like really good at posing because I used to dance, and that just wasn't the case. It's so completely different. In dance, it's more about the vision of the movement, and it's not really like, hey, how does your tricep look when you do that, or how does your, you know what I mean? It's not like that. It's not aesthetically based. It's movement based. So for me, I was like, how do I find my own style in this? Because I don't want to copy people, and I want to find my own. So I didn't know a lot of poses at the time. So what I did was, for a long time, I just played music and I would dance because I knew how to dance. And then every now and then between dance moves, I would stop and hit a bodybuilding pose, and I would continuously add to my repertoire of bodybuilding poses. And I really just started dancing and inserting bodybuilding poses periodically. And the more bodybuilding poses I learned, the more I would incorporate them into my posing. And then I'm like, okay, I've developed my own style to the point where now it's pretty even between posing and dancing, as before I was just mostly dancing. So that's kind of how I came into it. And performing is just in my soul. It's my favorite part about bodybuilding. I know some people like training. Some people like the discipline of the diet. I like that stuff, but I don't wake up thinking about all that. My favorite part about bodybuilding is walking out on stage and telling a story. That's where I feel at home, and that's something I'll do till the day I die. If I didn't find bodybuilding, I probably would have been doing it on Broadway or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's just a part of me, and it's always been a part of me. It's just who I am.
Could we imagine, JB, if more, especially the open men, if they had this, if they were talking? I haven't seen a routine that's epic since, I don't even know. Presley did a good one, but that's about it.
It's going to be lost in professional bodybuilding, so it's glad that you came back. You bring it back, Rachel. This form of artistic on stage, because I miss it. Like open men's bodybuilding on the 90s, so where everybody really practiced it, posing for weeks and months just to be exact on Olympia, to be on stage and bring the 5 minutes, But it's really got lost. So thank you very much.
It has that loss. And some people say like, oh, well, the guys are so big now, they can't move like that. And I just think that's bullshit. I've worked with Kai Green, and that guy I posed with him. He'll keep up with me for 3.5 hours without taking a break. There's you can move like that. And I think the size, like people using size and stuff like that as an excuse is bullshit. Yeah. But it is staggering. I don't know why it was kind of lost. I think it is sad, because if you really look at all the old videos and stuff, you're like, even people I show them, like, did you know this used to be what it is? Like, and they're like, wow, like when, what, like, where's that? What is that? I'm like, that's literally what we do now, except it's been so diluted. I you know, if people don't like to pose, that's fine. I'm trying to hopefully set a standard. I hope that when girls come to compete against me, they're like, oh shit, Rachel's gonna be there. I should really practice my posing and do something cool if I have to go after her. I hope I do that to people, because like, let's bring it. Like, you know what I mean? Let's do it. Like, yeah, so.
Yeah, we miss JB. We back in the day, Joe Weider used to go to the athletes and be like, so bro, how is your routine going? There's no one now taking Mr. Jake Wood, obviously the head boss, but we don't have that person that goes to every athlete and demands, so how is your 4-minute routines going to be this Olympia? You know what I mean? It's
well,
gone.
If the posing's not, I get it. Like, if the posing isn't on the points card, I can see why people aren't prioritizing it. Like, that makes sense. They're like, well, I'm not getting touched on this. But at the same time, I've beaten girls who are better than me physically because I can pose better than them. And like, or they're posing in a way that's hiding what they really have. And that's such a little advantage that you can make huge if you hone in on it. Yeah, it's not technically like judged on a scorecard, but your physique is judged, and the posing is showcasing the physique. So even though they're not directly correlated, it's a ripple effect. If your posing sucks, your physique's gonna, maybe you'll get away with something because you just look that good. But like, how much more dominant could you be if you're a true bodybuilder, and if you truly want to be an Olympian and a good one, or a legend, why wouldn't you be 100% on every aspect of your athletic career, including posing?
Before we talk a little bit about the Olympia, who's the best poser? I saw her Instagram. I think Alicia Kisling said, I am the greatest poser alive or something. Who is best?
Did she really say that?
Best poser. Can't remember exactly what it said, but who's the best poser, you or her?
I mean, I know she's the classical queen, but real queens don't argue with pawns like that.
Okay, next question. So, Olympia. Melissa Tech, craziest pack. Melissa Tech and Rachel Daniels is the two packages fans have been most impressed by in 2022.
Oh, cool.
We have even more than Natalia Coelho's package, because that was great, but we didn't see that reaction. Oh, look at this package. She's amazing, Natalia Coelho. And we have Sarah Viegas, who I just talked to her husband. He said it's going to be lights out. No one's even, it's not even going to be a discussion here. He didn't say it in like those words, but that's how I. And then we have Anne Moon and Barbara Minaj fighting out in the Arnold Classic, UK. And then we have Brooke Walker maybe there. Where are you going to place at this Olympia? What's your mindset for this Olympia?
Obviously, I'm coming to win. I think we all are, right? But I do think that's an accurate top 5. I think I'll definitely be in the top 3. I was 7th with a lot less of what I have now. But like I said, like, I can come on here and be like, yeah, I'm winning, and I am. Not that I'm not walking in there with that mindset. I am 1,000%. Realistically, I do think the top 5 will be not in this winning order, just all of them. I think it will be, like you said, Sarah, me, Melissa, Natalia.
And then it's
I don't know if Brooke will be in there, maybe. But like I said, I think it's going to be maybe Barbara, Brooke, and them kind of fighting out that 4th spot. But anything could happen, you know. If Ashley Jones shows up with the conditioning she's capable of, she could pop in there too. Melissa is going to be a huge force to be reckoned with, especially if she's coached by my coach, because he doesn't play. But I'd love to get up there and I'd love to just be up there next to Sarah and Melissa. And I think whoever the top 5 is, if it's going to be the girls that we're talking about, I can tell you it's going to be a very symbolic year for women's physique. It's going to be a statement. It's going to, every single one of us is going to bring a level of conditioning that's just insane. It's not going to, you're not going to get lucky to be in that top 5 because somebody wasn't there or somebody was off. All those girls, including myself, are not coming to play around. So I think it's going to be a really nice year. It's going to be a dog fight.
Last question before we go. We want to, myself and JB, we followed women. We opened female bodybuilding channel in 2018 because we want to bring more, respect to women's bodybuilding. Because at the time there were no one talked about women's bodybuilding. As we evolved, we saw the women's physique had the same problem. No one was talking about. There was no, you know what I mean. And then when we started following closer, we want to thank you, Rachel, because women's physique now, the evolution just the 2-3 years has been out more than women's bodybuilding because the conditioning you guys are bringing with the symmetry, with the lines and everything. We want to thank you for Dana Lynn started it, but you guys are really, this is a whole, we can't even respect to her, but what you guys are bringing now, this is truly now an art form to watch. You know, this, you got to be shredded, line, symmetry. If you're not that, you're not even placing in the top 10 at Olympia. And this women's physique Olympia, Rachel, is going to be the best of all time.
I think so.
Yeah,
I know so. So good luck. And before you go, answer. What drives, who is Rachel Daniels off stage? What are you burning for in your life? What other than bodybuilding?
What am I burning for? Oh, well, a lot, I guess. I mean, other than bodybuilding, I don't really think about what I want as much as what I'm scared of. I do think about that a lot. I think you can learn a lot from what your fears are. My biggest fear is probably not having a purpose and not realizing my full potential. So pretty much whatever I do is in pursuit of following my full potential, whether that is winning the Olympia, whether that's helping people, whether that's business, whether that's doing something completely different from bodybuilding. I trust my instincts and I follow those till the end. So just having a sense of purpose, never stopping growing with my knowledge, with my learning, with my performing, any of that. I think once you throw in the towel and say, I know enough or I'm good enough, not just in bodybuilding, but in life, that's kind of the day you really die. And I'm just not like that. So that's probably what my drive is.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck at the Olympia, and hopefully we can get you on right before, if you have time.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. JB, say some final words. She's not passing away. I'm just saying, say some final words before we...
Rachel, thank you very much for coming on. It was the first time, and hopefully not the last time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I wish you good luck for the preparation and much success. And much fun in preparation and practicing posing, of course. And I hope we see a lot of you in the road to Olympia.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
And Rachel, you got to get Melissa Brobsky to win the figure next year. I'll put money on it. She needs to. This is going to be it for next year.
Yeah. No, she's got it. I mean, I live with her. I see her. She's got more muscle than all those girls. So she'll bring that conditioning next year. She's already working hard in her off season. She's a beast and I'm happy to be around her. So I have no doubt that next year she's going to do the same thing I'm doing right now.
And you got to hit us with a front double before we go. You know how the men watching women's physique and bodybuilding, you got to see the front double. Rachel, you got to show it.
I can't show the package before.
You can't show the front double for the millions and millions of fans that's tuning in to see Rachel Daniels front double?
They can come to one of my guest posings, or they can go. I'm a business woman.
You're FBBC, come on.
No. It's okay, guys. Check out her YouTube channel, Rachel Daniels YouTube, because you have a lot of great posing right on that channel, and the views are good. So people tune into that if you want to get inspired. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you guys so much. You guys are great. Thanks for talking about women in the sport and keeping us alive. It's very awesome.
And we'll just see where we go.